A product of this quality, of this simplicity, that is this good for health and therefore for how we walk through the world must become a mass market product, right? It is a damn shame if there are not more people investing in their foundational nutrition in such a simple way.
All right, Kat Cole, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I am so psyched to have you. I think maybe you might have seen in some of the materials I sent over beforehand to you that it's funny, when I was kind of just doing the original groundwork for this podcast late last year, I came up with my kind of list of dream guests and dream topics to talk about. One of my dream guests was you, and to have you on to talk about leadership. I've been really inspired by a lot of the work that you've done over the course of your career, and I've heard you on some of my favorite podcasts. Talk about some of the lessons that you learned. So you were a dream guest, but also kind of funny enough, one of my dream topics was to do an episode on athletic greens. I'm a massive fan and a user of the product and a huge believer in whatever you want to call it, micronutrition or foundational nutrition. And so when I saw your post in December 2021, that you were taking on the role of president and chief operating officer at Athletic Greens, I was like, oh my gosh, worlds colliding. I have to get, well, actually I had two reactions. One was, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is going to be the perfect podcast episode. My second reaction was, oh no, everyone in the world's going to want to talk to Kat now. So I was like, this is never going to happen. So anyways, Thank you. I'm super grateful to have you here and to do this. So this is going to be fun. Yeah. Okay. So what I want to talk about is in that original article that you posted on your Substack talking about joining Athletic Greens. You talked about your rationale for doing so, and I just want to read back to you your own statement, if that's okay. You said, "I'm joining a brand I love, a business model I believe in, a mission that inspires me, and a founder, team, and community that make me want to be all in." First of all, that makes me want to like bust through a brick wall, and it's not even me. But let's take some of those pieces like one at a time and talk about the rationale. So let's start with the team and the founder. I'm curious, what was it about Athletic Greens that was so attractive to you?
Yeah, well, I started advising Chris, the founder and CEO, a year ago. And so there were a few things. One, it was just so clear that he was purely mission driven, a mission around empowering millions of people on a health ownership journey. It wasn't even about the product or the specific thing right now. It was his own lived experience, himself, as well as his parents, his friends and family. And, it's hard to beat these incredibly authentic, I'm solving my own problem founder stories. It's just deeply, deeply rooted within the founder and then typically the early team. And so, check that box, amazing mission, incredibly authentic. And then learning how he had iterated the product over many, many years. The product has been iterated 52 times. And
I saw that stat and I was kind of astounded by that. I want to, let's come back to that, but sorry, keep going.
And so this idea of continuous improvement and iterated by new research, new ingredients, it gets better in, each iteration and what's in the scoop and how what's in the scoop works together. And really over the last, I believe it's 7 years, but no price increase. Like we're just like adding cost and adding quality and adding impact, but trying to keep it all, because it is a premium product, to something that made sense to a broader group of consumers. And so there was this ethos from the founder, but that showed up in the way the company had grown, that was essentialist, like very simple, but powerful in its restraint, in that we're not going to sell you a bunch of products. I mean, we have omegas and we have vitamin D, and we can talk about why those things and why separate and why not an AG1. But otherwise, the hero product was one thing. And I was just blown away at how any company much less a physical product company, meaning physical inventory, could be bootstrapped, self-funded, customer funded, up to 160 million ARR. I mean, that is unbelievable, coming off of 100% plus. Actually, it was closer to 200% year over year growth rate. Like, just the math of what needs to be happening for that to be true without external capital was also staggering. And so it was refreshing, right? This simple, we're not going to try to sell you more, but wow, we've built something that can fund itself at a certain growth rate and still being incredibly mission driven. Also, the founder was, because of seeking, advisors around him, was clearly on a journey to grow himself. It takes a lot of humility and curiosity. And so I want people around me who can help fill in the gaps, who can help me level up. And for a while, he did that, of course, with the team that he hired, and then with advisors in 2020, 2021, and now beyond. But eventually, you put that together, mission-driven, continuous improvement, humility and curiosity, but a lot of courage and confidence to zig when other people zag. And so as it relates to what struck me about the founder and then the team that brought that to life over the last few years in particularly, it was, really something very intriguing and attractive.
I've heard Chris, is it Chris Ashenden? Is that how I pronounce it? Yeah. I've heard Chris on, I think I've heard him on a couple of podcasts. I heard him most recently on Anthony Pompliano's show. And he just seems like about the most authentic guy you'll ever meet in your life. And to your point, like on this mission to solve his own problem first. I think I've heard him speak before about some of the trials and tribulations that he's battled in his own life, from depression to other challenges just growing the business, because it's not like Athletic Greens is a brand new business today. I mean, he's been working at it for, I think, a decade plus, right? I mean, that really, I think, resonates, that idea of a founder really on an absolute mission. I mean, how would you actually describe that mission in your own words for the company today?
I mean, ultimately from Chris, but for the company, and this may seem odd, but the goal is like happiness, to help people be happy. But what is critical to be happy? You have to have ownership of your health. If we think about the moments when we are the most anxious, the least happy, the most sad, right? It has to do when the thing that enables us the most, our health and the health of our loved ones, is diminished. And so this connection between happiness and being able to live a fulfilled life to owning your health, taking ownership of your health, is kind of it, right? It's like people need to take ownership of their health. Then why does anyone need help? Well, none of us have the perfect diet. None of us have the perfect lifestyle. Even if we eat a plate of food at the perfect times of day for our body's function, with the perfect amounts, with the perfect rainbows on the plate, the balance of
which is not going to happen for pretty much anyone, right?
I'm being very generous, right? Even if we do these things, our food is not as nutrient dense as it was many, many years ago. We're hurried. We have a greater degree of stressors. Collective we, like us as just people moving through the modern world, we have more stressors. We have more like inputs and, work and what we take on from the world in terms of our information diet. Like these things put stressors on parts of our body that are not often like reflected upon and articulated, that then require, even if we could pack in the nutrient density that we once had 100 years ago or 50 years ago, it's not enough. Like the stressors we're putting on ourselves. So you put all that together. No one has the perfect diet. We're all on a journey. No one has the perfect lifestyle. We're all on a journey. It is difficult to get what we need from the food we have access to alone. And as a company, like some people joke, so they say, don't eat your broccoli and just No, like get rest, get movement, invest in exercise, fulfill your soul with people you love, and eat as healthily as you can. And still, we need help supporting most of us. A nutritional foundation, right? We call the category of foundational nutrition that helps fill in some of those gaps. Some of our customers call it nutritional insurance. Others call it support for strong and healthy aging. And so then layer in what has come out in research that is no longer a set of niche beliefs, but part of like common conversation around health and wellness now, the gut brain connection, the gut body connection, the microbiome, a broader number of people supplementing with probiotics. Maybe you've been on antibiotics in your past and you've heard and seen what that can do, whether it was needed or not, to the gut microbiome, the foods we eat, processed sugars, right? All these things make it more difficult for the digestive system to do its job. And that is sort of the gateway and the portal of nutrients, however dense the food is we eat, making their way to our body to support our functions. And so you have this collision of realization that we need more, we need better and different. We're all on a journey. We're busy. It's tough. And a lot of us have gut health, gut microbiome, if not issues, opportunities for it to be repaired, healed, function more effectively. And these are like North Stars, right? We want people to be happy. We believe health ownership is a cornerstone to that. We believe that there is our place in the world. There are many things people can do to take ownership of their health, but one of them is investing in their foundational nutrition. And in order to make that a consistent habit, you have to make it easy. Because I was one of these people, right, who's taken the multivitamins, the probiotics, the omegas, the vitamin D drops, the greens powders, the adaptogen teas. Like,
you must listen to Andrew Huberman's podcast, because the more I listen to his podcast, the more supplements I buy. But sorry.
Exactly. And so it's like, but I just turned 44 and I have a 4.5-year-old.
We are the same vintage, by the way.
Nice. Yes. And I have a 4.5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old.
I also have a 2-year-old.
Nice. Congratulations. I want to live long and strong, right? I want to live with strength. Yeah. And while I can certainly and am intentional about my diet, as I am getting more serious about consistency of exercise and listening to the thought leaders that are advisors to us, like Sinclair, like Dr. Peter Attia, like Huberman, right? And trying to bring their genius into my life in some way. The reality is I want to do what I have control over, because there are many things I don't have control over. And one of them is, all right, I'm going to make it easy on myself. So instead of trying to keep up with pills and powders and supplements and probiotics, to take one scoop to give this to people in something that is high quality, like so high quality and tasty enough to make it a habit every day as the first thing I do. And what we want for people is actually what I have experienced, which is I wake up as a busy mom. The kids are going to be up shortly thereafter. And this is my 1 minute, one moment for me when it's quiet. I have one life. I have one body. I deserve this 1 minute. It literally is 1 minute. And it's just so funny. I'm sure you've experienced this. I make better health choices when I have literally started my day with this. I'm less likely to like jam on processed carbs. I'm more likely to drink more water. It's just so interesting when you start your day with that, just like a workout or something else, it compounds into other healthy habits. And so not only was that one of the many things that inspired me to join, because I'm such a real customer and a crazy fangirl of the product and its effectiveness. But, I have parents in their 60s and 70s, and I want them to live with strength. And this is Chris's mission that I have now adopted, which is, without sounding hyperbolic, without sounding like I'm a part of like a wellness cult.
I'm a part of it too.
Yeah.
If you're a part of it.
It's just like, why would I not? Why would I not wake up, brush my teeth, come down, drink my AG1 every single day, and have that be, that's it. I can throw away most of my pills and supplements. So I don't take a multivitamin anymore. I don't take a probiotic anymore unless there's something going on where my doctor has advised additional supplementation, but the quality of the ingredients here and the synergistic, like they just work better together. And I could never remember to take things in the perfect combination. If I'm going to pay for them, if I'm going to take them, of course I want to take them in the right combination because I want to get my money's worth. I want to get my time's worth. And we are passionate about taking ownership of your health and investing in your nutritional foundation easy. And because then it's more likely to become a habit. And so this this is our mission. Like, these are our truths. This is what we believe about the world. We also believe that the wellness category has become so, like many categories, hypey, vibey. There's a reason consumers have doubts around, does it really work? How do I know? And there's so much out there. People are just trying to get me to buy more things. And while I do believe in the growing trend of specialization and even personalization, we are in a very different place as a company. We are building what are baseline foundational nutrition products for almost everyone. And then, yes, there might be customization for particular needs or particular stages of life, but whether you're 35 or 75, the thinking around ingredients and quantity and how they work together and how they benefit the digestive system and invest appropriate nutrients that most people benefit from supplementing with, we think about a much broader group. And so we protect it being vegan and keto friendly and these other things that allow us to make it applicable to the broadest group of people. And then that means some things wouldn't go in it, right? Like omegas, because the highest quality omegas are fish oils and it couldn't be vegan. So we believe omega oils are a part of a critical supplementation nutrition. But two issues. One, it's best in oil form, and that would be kind of weird in a drink, and it wouldn't taste very good. It's very taste affecting, and taste matters for the habit, and it would no longer be vegan. Same thing with vitamin D. It's very taste affecting in its highest quality. And in addition, many people supplement because many people are deficient in vitamin D. So even if we put it in here, for most people, it wouldn't be enough. And so, or those who supplement. And so we sell vitamin D separately, omegas separately for those reasons. But then we put more probiotics in here. Chris added adaptogens many years ago before it was a thing, right? Because in combination, it is helpful to the body's hormonal systems, digestive systems, all of the nutrients we need to support energy, the benefits that our customers, when we survey them, say they get. As a wellness and nutrition company, we always have to be careful with any claims or things like that. But when we survey, I can say my own personal experience, but when we survey our customers, these are the things they say, right? Like, wow, in just a few days, many people say, I literally feel like I can push off my coffee. Like I feel some energy in the morning. And then, wow, after a few weeks, I actually notice a difference in my digestive system. And that is a huge unlock for many people, especially those with IBS or Crohn's or bloating or other issues that they know are affecting other parts of their health, like brain fog and mobility and things like that. So, and then there are more, right? People say resilience, they say immunity. That takes longer to recognize, of course. And so just our mission is an obsession to have this very simple approach to investing in foundational nutrition be in the homes and habits of millions and millions and millions of people, and to use that ethos to eventually launch a few more products. We will. But this is the most important thing right now.
And for our listeners, she's holding up a pouch of AG1, which I know very familiar. It's a part of my morning routine every day too. So, gosh, so much good stuff there, Kat. So I love this concept of like nutritional insurance. And I think, to your point, everybody being pulled in a million directions every day, but can you establish a baseline, right? And I see this as, I agree that there is a certain amount of hype in the kind of health and wellness industry today. I also think that there are some companies out there that are just doing amazing work, and whether they have products or devices
Mhm.
or what have you. And I think that it's getting easier in some ways to take ownership of your health. And to me, like this is one for me personally, taking AG1 in the morning when it sounds like my routine is similar to yours. So like I get up in the morning while we're getting the kids ready to go to school. I mix up some AG1 for myself, and I drink that while we're getting the kids ready for school. And coffee comes later,
Yeah.
but I don't think I've actually thought of it. I don't know that I've actually thought of it in the way that you're describing. It's almost like a cumulative effect of like starting your day with one habit. I mean, I'm familiar with that
Habit stacking.
concept of
Yeah.
like, win the morning, win the day, like get up, work out, that sort of thing. I don't know if I'd necessarily thought of AG1 that way, but it makes a lot of sense. But I think of it as sort of a component of, okay, I am focused. I mean, listen, I'm a little bit of a sucker for like some of these health and
Yeah.
wellness brands. Like I'm sleeping on an 8
Me
sleep. I'm
too.
wearing a Whoop on my,
Yeah.
yeah, like, yeah, exactly. So, but I love this. I love being able to take ownership of my health and being able to monitor it. And to me, this is like, there's, a certain amount of pieces in that puzzle that every day I need to put together. And this is like one core component
Yeah.
of that. So, but I like that. The fact that it's been iterated over time is really interesting to me. I heard that stat. I think I heard Chris talking about that on another podcast. I was like, what, 51 or 52 times? Like that's really interesting that the product does not stay
Yeah.
static. Now you mentioned AG1 being a premium product, so let's talk about that, because obviously you have a absolute wealth of experience in the consumer space and have been involved with companies from Hooters to Cinnabon to many others, right? But maybe some of those were more, I don't know if you would describe them as more mass
Mass
market
market. Yeah.
appeal. Yeah. So tell me how you think about a premium product and how you think about things like pricing.
Mm-hmm. So one, for Athletic Greens as a company and for AG1 as this hero product, this flagship product, I'm so careful with words because I believe it is a mass market product, that it is on its way there. Like this company and this founder, if not personally and exclusively, was a major part of pioneering this foundational nutrition category. I mean, if you think about foundational nutrition products and you look back and go, what else would I have put in that category 10 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Probably a multi.
By the way, my multivitamins gone now.
Yeah.
Probiotics are gone, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff too.
So we
even the packaging angle, Kat, I have a lot less packages hanging around my house because all in one.
Yeah. And so this, like as a quick aside, that's why one of the branding talking points last year for at least the North American audience was you're going to need a smaller cabinet, right? Like that.
I like that. Yep.
So brilliant copy. And so this idea of mass market, first and foremost, a product of this quality, of this simplicity, that is this good for health and therefore for how we walk through the world, must become a mass market product, right? It is a damn shame if there are not more people investing in their foundational nutrition in such a simple way. At the same time, what is premium about it is the formulation, the quality that goes into it, which of course creates a premium cost base, and then a premium pricing tier if you were to compare it to other products. Now, the challenge is AG1 as a premium product. Now, again, if you do the math, what were you paying for your multivitamin, your probiotic? And for many of us, who were already supplementing with other things, greens or adaptogens or reds powders or blues powders or all the things in our smoothies, the math makes sense really quickly. Like I saved money when as a customer, I switched. That's not true for everyone, right? Some people aren't, this is their supplementation journey. And so it is a big leap. And so first and foremost, there is clearly, it's a premium product in terms of quality, sourcing. Also, we are NSF for Sports certified. That most Americans don't even know what that is. Most people, now athletes know what it is. Professional athletes know what it is, but we have a level of certification that we impose on ourselves because we were, of course, focused on serving high performers and athletes that put our product through a level of efficacy testing, ensuring there are no ingredients that could be dopamines, that the right levels are the right levels. So what we impose on ourselves for quality, from a cost perspective, in addition to the ingredients we secure, like not all elderberry is created equal. Not all collagen is created equal.
Yeah, would you mind just like rattling off a few of the things that are in it? And like, I know there's, it'd probably take the rest of the podcast to name them all, but just name like a few big ones, just so people have an idea.
Here we go. So in the just phytonutrient blend, which is around a quarter of the ingredients. Again, this is so much more than greens. One of the reasons it was renamed AG1. But in the phytonutrient blend, we have organic spirulina, lecithin, organic apple powder. That's a prebiotic. We have organic wheatgrass juice powder, organic alfalfa powder, organic chlorella powder, organic barley, beetroot, rosehip, carrot root. I'm just reading the label.
Yeah. I'll link to it, by the way, so our listeners can go check it out. But there's a lot of goods. Is all this stuff is this all manufactured in New Zealand or?
All manufactured in New Zealand for now.
Okay.
And so then there are other like herbs, milk thistle, which people have, has connected to liver health. And what else do we have? Hawthorn berry. I mean, these are, and then of course a whole multivitamin, multi-mineral blend, biotin and phosphorus, magnesium, zinc, hence the replacing for most of us for multivitamin, multi-mineral, digestive enzyme and super mushroom complex. Then we have an astragalus burdock root powder. Again, I'm just reading, a reishi mushroom, shiitake mushroom powder. So it's 75 ingredients. 75 ingredients. It's been iterated 52 times. And the sourcing of the highest quality, like with research proven to be, whether it's through Eastern methodologies or Western medicine, and pulling these things together. You hear a lot of mushrooms, right? A lot of plants. It is vegan. And so this idea of the power of nature, the power of plants, the power of nutrients, to come together and essentially build foundational nutrition. If you just want to really simplify it, nutrients and gut health. And these two things together are superpowers for the rest of our body's functions. And this is not a meal replacement. It is not just a greens. It is not only one thing, right? It's many things. It actually replaces, the list is long, but for most people, 9 common products purchased at, say, a Whole Foods in the supplement section. Multivitamin, multi-mineral, pro and prebiotic, immunity support, like the degree of immunity supporting ingredients there, pro and prebiotic. And then the list goes on: hormone support, adrenal support, etc. Like these are all bottles. Those words I just listed are all bottles on a shelf at Whole Foods that millions and millions and millions of people already believe, whether through their own work, research, or a doctor or functional medicine support team, believe are important to help them with their health needs and on their nutritional journey. But just like in nature, a lot of things work better together. I literally was just listening to Dr. Rhonda Patrick talking about excessive red meat consumption. I am a meat eater, by the way. Excessive red meat consumption being tied to certain types of cancer, but yet when they were consumed with a certain type of carbohydrate, like a potato, that risk in the research was completely neutralized. So this, it's just an example. I think like it makes sense. Some things when put together do more, different, and better. Even, we sell D3 and K. It's very well known that those two things together make the individual things more powerful. And so this idea of synergy, and then us not only sourcing that quality, blending it in a way that it's actually going to be tasty, and it doesn't feel like you're drinking grit or dirt.
When people see you drinking it, they're like, "What is that?" And then, but you're like, "Actually, it's not bad."
Yeah, like it kind of tastes a little pint. Like fine. But all that to say, that was a long way to say it ain't cheap to do this and do this well.
Yeah.
Well, of course, it is going to have a more premium price point. Where it's where we have an opportunity to cut through some confusion right now is when people make price comparisons and they compare AG1 to a greens powder. You're comparing 75 ingredients, of which a quarter of those ingredients are greens powders, to a product that is only a greens powder.
Right.
And even if you just did that math, like what does that greens powder cost you? And what's 3 or 4 times that, right? You get to
plus what kind of quality are you getting with some random powder that you're picking up at GNC or something like that?
Yeah. And as a brand, it is not our style or our personality to shame, poo-poo, call out other business. We're focused on just doing it well and doing it right. But the reality is it's a premium product. And for many people, it is so worth it. Now, certainly subscribing makes it less expensive. But again, if you do the math at less than $3 a serving, what is most important to me to show up effectively in the world? My health. Is my health not worth $2.80 a day? Are there other things I'm doing where I could take that money from? Now, of course, in the literal sense, as we've already talked about, I'm probably already spending that on supplements that this covers. So, and this is easier and super high quality. And it's got incredibly high quality probiotics in it, which most of these powders and supplements do not, because it is not only expensive to do that well, because probiotics die off. And so you've got to put a good bit in there to make sure people get what is promised. It also doesn't taste good, right? Probiotics can taste very chalky. There's a reason most people put it in capsules, but our body is meant to eat stuff, right? It's meant to like have it get in our stomach and have it do the work. And so all of that is expensive. It is worth a premium price point. And, as Chris and I have talked, we haven't raised prices in years and years. At some point, it will be time, given
inflation and everything else, right? I'm sure the input costs are all going up.
And separate of inflation, all the things we've put in it, right? Just, but we have to be so thoughtful as we approach that. And as we think about our roadmap for additional products, how we think about the direct to consumer model, shipping costs, right? All these things are a part of that equation. But I am on a vicious mission to debunk people's talk track that is AG1 is expensive. It is not when you do this math we've talked about, right? It is a prioritized investment that if you're already supplementing is quickly sort of a break even, if not something better. And if you're not supplementing, and so this is an incremental cost, and this is your kind of first step into the journey, like my husband's mom, like never subscribed to anything, never supplemented in her life, not a multivitamin, nothing. She's 65 and a runner and is blown away by how she feels, just more energy and faster recovery. She's an athlete. And And so this is expensive, right? To her, right? She's like, oh, this is expensive. This is a new cost. But when she factors in the cost of her health and wellness, the speed of her recovery, and other things she would otherwise be spending that money on, it's not expensive anymore, right? It's an investment now. And so this is a big part of our charge going forward, is right-sizing the value equation and the value proposition. One, to get people to realize, do not compare it to a greens powder. This is so much more than greens. Like, that's just not even an apples to apples comparison. It's like apples compared to a cornucopia, of fruits and vegetables and probiotics and. That alone helps go, okay, it's premium, meaning it's high quality, but what I get for what I buy is high.
Yes.
There's value for money versus expensive. And there's so much value for every penny, right? For every scoop, for every portion. It's why a lot of our customers make jokes and cry when they spill a scoop of the green.
I've been there.
We have of people.
Or I gotta shake the bottle once in a while, and I'm like, no, it wasn't closed all the way.
Yeah. So there's a lot to unpack there, but premium and pricing theory is that there's a continuum, certainly, from affordability to higher priced, but then all along that continuum for value is, what do I get? Something can be inexpensive and high value. Something can be very expensive and low perceived value to a consumer. We want to be high value for money. And so we have to do a better job of some of this messaging and content and conversations to break through the veto vote. Because once people hear this conversation, they're like, so like $2.80 a day does make sense. And I'm probably already spending that in some way, and this is easier.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about that, because I think that's certainly you have a tremendous amount of expertise in the world of branding, and I think I'm kind of curious to talk about the challenge of branding athletic greens. But I have to stop and say, I love the term you use. You're on a vicious mission. I think I might have to adopt that myself. And you may have just titled this episode with that one. I don't know, but I like that a lot. Okay, so let's talk about the branding. I don't know if you would describe it as a challenge or how you would describe it, but tell me about your perception of the brand coming in. Now, you've been involved for a while. You said you were advising Chris for a year, but tell me about like your perception of the brand, and then like where we are today, and then like where you could see us going, a few years down the road. And I'm curious, I come from a marketing kind of finance background, but I'm curious kind of what are some of the big tactics that you see kind of along the way to get you there?
I mean, like many companies, for the first chunk of your life, your brand is your product. They're sort of inseparable. And then it expands to the experience with your team. And then as you start showing up in the world beyond your product in marketing, then that contributes to the perception of your brand. But brand is just a promise to the consumer, an emotional promise, a functional promise. And then the degree to which we deliver on that, underdeliver, exceed, leads to whether or not we are delighting people with the brand and the brand is doing work for us versus against us. And so over time, people want to know and feel the full humanity of a business and a brand. But at first, it is very simple, right? It's the product, make an amazing product, have it be so effective or high quality or loved that people reorder on their own without prompt and tell their friends. It's not very complicated. But many people try to shortcut that cycle with hype, with incentives, with external capital, and then to juice the market and just get it out there. And there's no free lunch. There's no shortcut to foundational nutrition, and there's no shortcut to building an amazing brand. You just got to do something really well that people value over time. And then as the business starts to reach out to a broader consumer base, because we do believe we have a once in a generational moment and opportunity, given increased awareness of nutrition needs, certainly accelerated by COVID, increased desire to do what you can about it that is within reach. a growth in the belief of, if I don't make time for my wellness, I'm going to be forced to make time for my illness, and all these things. And so that then says, wow, we need to talk to more people, and not only be at the organic referral word of mouth stage of the business. And when you talk to more people, when you skip those layers of intimate, trusted referrals, now you've got more questions you have to answer, right? Because you don't have the layers of trust, and that leads to more marketing.
Right.
And then how does the brand show up when we go out into the world beyond a picture of the product and a list of the ingredients? What are we about? What do we help you think and feel and do? And if you're an AG1 customer and subscriber, it's a very intimate product, right? It's like, for me, in my quietest moment in the morning, or the way my husband and I do it, we always come down and one of us makes a double dose, and then I drink half and he drinks half.
My wife's not on it yet, but I have a feeling that after this episode that may change.
And so this idea of helping people realize it's a very intimate act, but it is a part of a movement, right? Like, millions of people have been doing this in the morning, and hundreds of thousands of people daily are doing exactly what you're doing. It's a part of a movement in a community that we have only just scratched the surface of talking to and connecting and investing in and building. And so, one, we have to bring more humanity into our brand. That's Chris's story. We're still founder led. That is describing this idea of what investing in your foundational nutrition enables. The ability to appreciate life's wonders, the ability to do everything from geek out and go down the rabbit hole of nutrition and science if you want, or to just live a light and fun life because you have less worry connected to health if you are building a stronger nutritional foundation that empowers your health ownership journey. And so that's all got to come through in the brand without losing sight of, it's still about the product, telling that right story of the product, having people feel its quality, continuing on our continuous improvement journey. There will be an iteration 53.
Cool.
They're like, we're going to keep going, right? But what we're going to do is do a better job of talking about that and why that should have any customer feeling like, wow, this is a company that they don't sell a lot of things, but if they're selling anything, it must be worth it. Yeah. It must be important. And it helps me because it's so simple, and I'm worth that simplicity. I'm worth that minute. I'm worth that $2.83 or whatever it is as a subscriber. I'm worth it. And then the rest of my life becomes a little lighter, and I build healthier habits. And so our branding and our messaging has to do a more intentional job of telling that story for people who are hearing about us out of context, in an ad. It's not their best friend who's a runner telling them how important it is. That's still happening. But if we're going to accelerate getting into people's lives, then we have to also broaden our outreach beyond that. But that is skipping trusted steps. And that's why the branding, the visual representation of the brand, which has evolved, showing more women, showing a more diverse group of people in different life stages, not just athletes. Certainly fueling high performance is a part of our story and a part of what drove such a high quality formulation. But I'm a lifeathlete, right? I don't think of myself as an athlete. I'm a mom of 2 young kids that's incredibly busy. My husband's an ultra endurance athlete. Like
I've seen some of the crazy stuff he does.
Yeah. Like literal customer target from the early days of Athletic Greens and AG1. But I represent a growing consumer target of women and busy women in the world, those who are caring for others, whether they be moms or business founders, CEOs, people who are influential in their community. Like, we got to be healthy to show up in the world. Yeah. And so that branding, that brand work also has to very literally speak to a broader group than our origins, while still celebrating. There are still many people who have gotten deep into fitness who may not have heard of AG1, who don't realize the benefits. So we have a lot of brand work to do to connect on an emotional level as well as storytelling functional benefits.
Let me ask you just one kind of follow up on that, because I think of AG1 as sort of a premium product today. Now, maybe as you say, I think it makes sense in some way, shape, or form for this to go mass market. But when I think about premium brands, and I even think about things like luxury brands, like think about like an LVMH or something like that. Like I've always thought about this concept of like conspicuous consumption, right? And so it's like you want, when you're buying an LVMH bag, there's a part of you that's buying it so that other people see you walking around with
signaling,
it. Yeah. So, and a lot of this we probably just do almost subconsciously, like, yeah, oh, sure, I'll take that Peloton t-shirt, or sure, just wearing the Whoop is sending some kind of signal about me. I wonder, I feel like Athletic Greens is like the type of brand that it does say something about you, and it says, hey, like I kind of I take my health seriously and invest in myself and all that. And so like, I don't know, I could see myself pimping a Athletic AG1 trucker hat, or like a Yeti or something like that. Like, I don't know, Kat, I'm just asking you if we're going to get some merch sometime. That's really what I'm asking you.
Merch. I will tell you, it is so, again, this is just the opportunity we have as a business. And I have no problem being critical of our own business, because so much, obviously, of what I've shared is fangirl. But the list of things we need to do better is long. And we literally have customers saying, take my money. And we're making it very hard for them. But they're also saying more, in a higher order sense, what you're saying, which is, I'm proud of this relationship. It says something. And so better, like there's a little bit of swag out there, but more and better is coming. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay,
More and better.
Okay. I'm going to be one of your first customers.
You're not the first to ask. You will not be the last. And it makes us really proud that there are people who find affiliation and aspiration. And the team did a great job evolving the brand. It's like a beautiful, modern look and feel. And so whether it's water bottles, like we have to upgrade our shaker bottle. It's fine for now, but we have a long.
I got some recommendations, because like this one I got on Amazon. It's like a nice glass bottle with like a bamboo top, and I was like, why am I not paying double for this and having it say Athletic Greens on it?
Exactly. There's a basic upgrade that we should have for all subscribers, and then there's creating more premium offerings for those who want. We are a carbon neutral and planetary neutral business. And so we are super intentional about shipping weight and sustainability and all the, it's easy for things to be greenwashed, but if you're shipping glass everywhere, one, you're going to radically increase cost for everyone, but you also are burning up, a lot more fuel. Yep. And so we are also on a sustainability journey. We're already in a place I'm very proud of, but we're on a journey. And so we've just got to make sure whatever we do, back to the AG1 philosophy of is best for most people and is best for most of the planet. Like whatever is going to be the main thing that goes to people's homes regularly every month, we need to keep it light, high quality, carbon efficient, sustainable, and we keep upgrading things there. And there are people who would pay for more premium options that we could put in there as needed and wanted. And we can have the right, whether it's production processes or carbon offsets or whatever these things are for that, to make sure we're also really thoughtful. Like you can't be for the body and be against the planet, right? Like you gotta, we don't, and so that's incredible. We don't talk about it a lot as a business. We will more going forward. We're going to release our first ever impact report in a couple of weeks. Yeah, cool. Talking about what we've done. Again, we hold ourselves to a higher standard than our consumers do, and we want to keep it that way. But merch, sustainable merch, thoughtful, planet conscious merch, swag or gear. We like the word gear given Athletic Greens. um, is coming. So many of
Yay.
us are around, like my house is full of some pretty cool AG
Oh, darn. I
stuff.
knew we should have done this in person.
I'm like, I was well now. Um, and that'll help us think about and then we're going to take our most loyal subscribers
Yeah.
and spend more time with them and
Yeah.
just show them stuff and be like, what are your recommendations? What's your favorite water bottle?
I love it.
From Yetis to coffee mugs to hats to what would you love?
Yeah.
And we want to get that out to you and then make it available to a broader group.
Super cool. Okay, listen. I told you we'd get you out of here by 10 o'clock. So we have 4 minutes. I have 50 questions left, so we might have to skip a couple. I was going to ask you about all your routines and what's non-negotiable for you and your physical and mental health. I don't think we're going to get there today. I'm going to link to some other podcasts where you've talked about a lot of this stuff. So let me just give you my big final question to finish, and that is, what is one thing that you have figured out thus far in life? I know this is a big question, that you think maybe most others might not have figured out yet. So what's one big thing that you've kind of think that you have figured out at this point?
Something I have figured out. Interesting question. Thinking of something I might not have discussed on other podcasts or interviews very much, is the idea of energy management over time management. And I have learned the things that giveth and taketh my energy, what foods, what people, what activities, what decisions I make. And that's a very higher order thing that I've figured out. But really, energy, right? Like protecting energy. And then when I go down the rabbit hole and geek out, I think about some of Dr. Peter Attia, some of Huberman's, but in particular recently Dr. Peter Attia's podcasts, and he's an advisor and investor to AG, is this idea of like mitochondrial health. And so energy management is more the outcome of what I feel and then how I move through the world, and my personality, my commitment to something, whether I can give it my all, my emotional health that's connected to that. But really underneath, it's this idea of mitochondrial health. Like how am I reducing stressors, be they physical or chemical or emotional? And then how am I increasing my mitochondrial health, my body's systems that can, give me power, like actual power to then create output. And this idea of how my body works being the energy production engine and then turning that into mechanical power, how I go, the energy I have to play with my kids, the energy I have to wake up early and enjoy coffee with my husband, to be like all in for my team at work, no matter what's going on. That this idea of energy management is more important than time management. They are connected, but they are not equal. And so my energy management comes before my time management. And so if there are too many things in a day that diminish my energy, things I have to spend my time on, food that I shouldn't be eating, not enough movement, right? These are energy diminishing things. Then I have to, on balance, look at things that fill the bucket. And so that's movement, that's nutrition. There are some days that I smash multiple AG1s because, so this idea of, I do have an equation in my mind of what is optimal energy for me. And it really connects to my happiness and how I feel. And then I use that for not only what time am I spending on what things and protecting for which things, but then what am I doing in that time? How high quality is what I'm doing in that time? And on the whole, because not everything is energy giving, on the whole, at the end of every week, have I spent my time on things that have more energy contributing elements than those that have energy draining elements?
Okay. I absolutely love that one. It reminds me of an interview I just did with Natalie Rachel Sinyard, who's a behavioral economist and an expert on burnout. And we were talking about strategies to avoid burnout. And a lot of the same tactics that she talks about, I think, are just reflected in what you just said. So it's things like spending time in nature, spending time with that group of people that are your deep, meaningful relationships and that give you energy. And also maybe just to kind of loop it back to the beginning of this conversation, spending time on the really important, purpose, mission driven things in life. Right. And so like, I think I've quoted this on this.
Right. It's like the few things that matter most and being aware and then taking action on the things that are just that. They're things, whether it's material things or routine behaviors that are just inertia and habits that are no longer serving us if they ever did. And then continually refining that to prioritizing the things that matter most. Doesn't mean you don't occasionally do other things, but having real clarity on values and what creates health and wellness and peace and happiness and energy, and prioritizing that and habit stacking that as much as you can is like a super unlock.
I totally agree. And I feel like if you have clarity on purpose and you truly believe in it, like it sounds like you believe in what you're doing with Athletic Greens, that is a massive, massive tailwind. Like you can get through a lot of hows, to use a cliche, if you deeply believe in the why. And it sounds like you believe in that why. So awesome. I love that one, Kat. That's right up there with the top answers to that question. So pretty good right off the fly. I like that. Okay. Let's get you out of here. Where can people find you? Where can they find Athletic Greens? And I heard there might be a book in the future. If you want to plug that, go for it.
Yeah. One day, hopefully by the end of this year, a book coming out, Leadership Principles. Awesome. But I have my Substack, where people can see a lot of my frameworks. That it's sort of an archive for my frameworks over time, and people can subscribe to that to just have access to those. And I'm very busy helping Chris and the team build AG. So my posting is far less frequent, but there's a lot of good stuff in there. And so if people want a deeper dive on some of my brand and business and leadership principles, it's there.
And Kat is also getting deeply involved in the world of NFTs and Web3. We didn't have a chance to cover that today. Maybe there's a part 2 at some point. So Kat, thank you so much. I'm seriously grateful for you taking some time out of your schedule to do this. It's really means a lot to me. And I think I hope it'll mean a lot and ultimately help our listeners as well.
Awesome. Thank you.